Martell and Ariane. Now, y'all already know their history is messy, but what's happening now takes it to another level. Ariane has been out here having complete breakdowns on public platforms, screaming, hollering, crying, and you can't help but wonder what's her son doing when she's in the middle of all that. And Martell, every time the cameras catch him, he still finds a way to call Ariane a good mother. But can that really be true when the court has gone as far as saying the two of them can't even spend the night together in the same house with the kids? That alone speaks volumes. And it's a major reminder of how deep their issues go. And let me just say, this court order isn't some random rule. It's there because when Martell and Ariane get together, it's like every good parenting instinct goes out the window. The co-parenting arrangement forces boundaries, but the bigger question is, does Martell even realize the damage this dynamic keeps causing? And while Martell is caught up in that mess, there's still the 5-year-old child to think about. Not to mention all of his other kids, including those he shares with Melody. If Martell can't see he's running himself in circles like a hamster on a wheel, I honestly don't know what will wake him up. From that heavy situation, we jump straight into the cowboy-themed party thrown by Trisha. And trust me, the party may have looked fun on the outside, but the undercurrent of tension was strong enough to cut with a knife. Everyone showed up. Tisha, Trisha herself, Kimmy, Nell Fletcher, Marseille, Maurice, and Chris Fletcher. But nobody was there just to sip drinks and two-step. Everyone seemed to arrive with their own personal agenda, and it didn't take long for the questions, side eyes, and shade to start flying. Tisha came in ready to talk, and she wasted no time pulling Trisha aside. Her main question? Why in the world did Trisha have pictures of Ken plastered all over her birthday party when it wasn't even his event? Tisha made it clear she was confused, asking if she'd accidentally walked into someone else's celebration. Trisha's first response was to call Ken her black chocolate and her black cowboy. But when Tisha pressed harder, pointing out that it always looks like Trisha has 1 foot in and 1 foot out of that relationship, Trisha suddenly acted like she didn't understand the question. Seconds later, though, she switched it up and claimed she was all the way in, which left everyone side-eyeing and wondering what was really going on. And Tisha wasn't the only one throwing questions that night. Across the party, Marsa and Morris were zeroing in on Ken, confronting him about his role in all this drama. Marsa didn't sugarcoat anything. He told Ken that in situations like this, evidence matters, and that whether Ken realized it or not, he was being seen as the bad guy. Ken couldn't believe it, saying they weren't even together. Like that, but Marsa reminded him that when it comes to family, if anything were to happen to Trisha, it wouldn't be Ken getting the first phone call. That kind of reality check clearly irritated Ken, who shot back that Marsa and Morris were the last people who should be giving relationship advice, while the men were busy with their own mini showdown. Nell Fletcher brought a completely different kind of tension to the women's corner. She decided to bring up the interview Martell had done with Ariane, questioning whether Kimmy and Tisha had been fully honest about watching it. Kimmy instantly bristled at the suggestion, saying she'd already told Nell she didn't watch the whole thing and saw no reason why she should have. Tisha backed her up, insisting she's never caught Marsa cheating and refuses to answer to people trying to plant doubt in her marriage. But Nell didn't let up, saying she just assumed they would have watched it to get whatever insight they could. From there, the whole conversation spiraled, with Kimmy warning Nell that if she wanted to be friends, she needed to drop the constant push for transparency. And Tisha firing back that she's heard her own rumors about Nell's marriage that might be more worth focusing on. Trisha, trying to jump in, only made things worse by suggesting that maybe Kimmy and Tisha were just guarded about answering the question. That earned her a sharp confessional from Tisha, who flat out mocked Trisha, saying she probably didn't even know how to spell transparent and bringing up the lingering question of whether or not Martell ate the pie. And just when you think the chaos can't get any messier, it does. Tisha's drinking starts kicking in, and she ends up face-to-face with Chris Fletcher. demanding answers about him, allegedly spreading talk that Marsa and Morris had people signing NDAs. Chris, holding his red cup, stayed calm and told her. He doesn't answer to her, especially since he and Marsa had already talked it out. And this is where we saw something different from Marsa. Instead of embarrassing Tisha like he's done in the past, he gently pulled her aside, called her by her last name Scott, and told her it was handled. It was a rare moment of restraint from him, and you could tell he was trying to put their therapy sessions into practice. But even with that small moment of growth, the tension between the men, the women, and the messy web of alliances, Tisha and Kimmy on one side, Nell and Trisha on the other, leaves you wondering how any of these relationships can survive another episode like this. And when you circle back to Martell's situation, the ongoing drama with Arian, and the court's restrictions on them being around the kids together, it's clear that every single storyline in this group is on the verge of exploding. And trust me, you're going to want to hear how all of these threads connect by the end. Because the final moments of this episode prove that no matter how much people try to act like they're over the drama, they're all still neck deep in it. And here's where things get even more telling. While Tisha is still fired up, you can see Marsa watching her carefully. He's got this look like he's trying to decide whether to step in or let her handle it, but you can tell he's remembering all those therapy sessions where she told him, "Don't embarrass me in public." This time, instead of going for a snappy comment, he makes a calculated move, walking over, putting his hand on her arm, lowering his voice, and calling her Scott. You could feel the shift in energy. That's not the Marsa we've seen. In past seasons, he's choosing calm over confrontation, at least with her. And you know what? That little moment might have been the biggest growth we've seen from him in a long time. But the real test will be whether Tisha can meet him halfway and listen when he asks her to back down. Now, while all that's happening on one side of the party, Morris is hanging back a little, but he's definitely clocking everything. When it comes to the NDA talk with Chris Fletcher, Maurice isn't buying the friendly explanations.